How's it going, everyone? It's Artifact and it is Vital's Revenge. Now, I've been a really naughty boy last week. I was on Tinder and I met a little sort called Pigments3. She stayed over for a few nights, but in the end, I felt a bit bad. I had to come home to my sweetheart Vital. Oh, my sweetheart Vital. Oh. Let's have a listen to this loop, shall we? Just a lot filthier, isn't it? So let's just crack on with this one, shall we? For the time being, anyway. I've got two things I want to teach you today. One is how you can start off a synth patch to get like a basic concept, an idea, so that you can go on to create some cool rhythms like throughout the pattern. You know, like a sort of mindset thing on how to start. Secondly, we'll explore the detail of the patch and how I got the sound design of it. So for the beginning part, I started this synth. It kind of sounded like this. And the most important thing to note is if we open Vital here, I just started with a square saw wave because it's really like, you know, we've got those powerful harmonics from a saw wave always. And I just put on this smear mode so we can sort of bend the waveform a little bit so we can introduce a bit of movement into it. And I've just mapped this smear mode to 3 different LFOs. So the first one is the main rhythm, because if we look in our MIDI, like just so you're familiar with the pattern, it's just like long held notes and then we just have a little bit of a progression of melody. So in order to get these interesting rhythms, like we start off with the first LFO. I always start on LFO 2 for some reason as the first one. I don't know why, I'm scared to use LFO 1. But LFO 2 is set to quarter notes and just on this ramp down, so that's doing this main dun 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 pattern, right? You know, we map all of these LFOs to the smear just a different amount, and then on this LFO3 we do something different where we turn the speed down, so over the course of the note as it's held down, you know, we're looking over a longer timeline, and then we can apply these little effects that come in and out throughout that kind of expression of note. The main thing I wanted was to have this 4/4 on the first one, and the second one we have this part where it goes dun 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 dun, like this little part that goes up, so we just get a little extra rhythm in that kind of lead line. And similarly with the LFO4, again just track to the same thing, to the smear. This is on an even slower scale, and it's at the end we have this thing that comes up, so it's like a little part of affected right at the end. So in that way we have these 3 LFOs, you know, the first one doing the main movement, the second one doing this kind of little bit that comes up like every 1 bar, and the third one is doing this kind of end part at the end of every 2 bar. And I've just tracked this just to one thing to begin with, and then what we're going to do is we're going to go on to apply different LFOs to then a bunch of different settings in Vital, basically. We're still using the smear mode with saw wave. If I just turn off the effects, just on this smear mode, and then we introduce a sub bass underneath, kind of like a sine wave. I've made this wavetable myself. By the way, all of these presets will be on my Patreon if you want to support. If you don't like subscribing to things, cop one of my wicked Artifact t-shirts, which are currently on sale on my website for the next week. So with this harmonic sub that I've made, I've then frequency modulated this into the saw, so we get this kind of dirty texture. And there's a bit of time skewing, which is just a way that we can, you know, add these extra harmonics into this wavetable to give a bit more kind of dirtiness. One of the main things we modulate for this LFO3, where we have this little spike that comes up once every bar, is the bend mode here. So it's just a case of making these small alterations to different parts of the wavetable, you know, throughout this pattern to create that extra interest. I've added in a third oscillator, which is another sine wave, but it's actually 1 octave up. So it's that kind of boomy 100 hertz area sine wave. And to actually introduce more dynamic and punch into this bass, I've turned the level down and I've mapped this to our main LFO2, which is the main like rhythm pattern, dun dun dun, and that's going on the level. So we're just punching in this kind of sine wave harmonic, you know, in time with the rhythm. Then it's a lot of effects afterwards. The main one is the chorus, and on this freeze mode, we can then modulate all these delays and the depth to really like get, you know, like really control the kind of larger than life effect that the chorus gives, but with our LFOs. LFO 2, the main kind of rhythm LFO, I'm putting on the delay. One's going one way, one's going the other way, and that's just changing the kind of position of these voices that the chorus creates. So you can see they go dun 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 on these two here. And for the depth, this is the effect that we really like get a more like heavy rush of chorus, and this is going to be saved for those like special moments on the LFO 3 and LFO 4 where we just have like one little bit where it suddenly goes like, ooh, heavy chorus, and then comes back again. So you can kind of see it here. I've mapped it to the LFO 4 as well, so at the end it really goes up quite a lot here. Same time that this happens here, I also introduced this flanger, and you can see here I've turned the mix of it to go like all the way up to almost 100 every time we get to that LFO 4 part, whereas before it's just off, because if you listen to how it sounds, this kind of really fast flanging effect, and obviously I only want that in this kind of end affected part. So that kind of gives that interesting effect at the end. You can add a sub bass in underneath it like I've done here, and then playing it with the beat. It's got a really kind of nice heavy stuff going on. Yeah, stuff. By the way guys, I released a new sample pack. It's out now. The link is down below if you want to support me that way as well. I really appreciate it. There's also a discount code underneath. There's 1 or 2 codes left before they expire, so make sure you want to grab that as soon as possible. Have a wicked day guys.